Hello everyone, Tom the Dilettante here, and welcome to another episode of Comments and Libations, where I take 10 minutes or so to share with you my responses to some of your comments while having a drink. Today's drink of choice is a 15-year-old Glenfarclas that my wife and I picked up in Scotland. That's good. Alright, first comment from Jankerkey548. Did you clean everything before applying the silicone? This is in reference to a November 2022 Comments and Libations where I was talking about the leak that I had when I installed the Prinsu roof rack in my 2019 Subaru Crosstrek. Yes, I thought I did clean everything, but it leaked nonetheless. But in hindsight, I think that was also because I probably over-tested it by putting it through a pressure washer. Nonetheless, when I did go to reseal it, I cleaned everything off again, put in copious amounts of RTV, and even used some plumber's tape on the threads. And since then, that was, what, a year ago? It's been good to go. Next one from Justin Rapella. I saw this video for the first time on October 22. Since then, I credit this video with 1. Me getting a scanner. 2. Getting a ham license. 3. Several radio purchases. And 4. 2 Pi-Star hotspots. That was the coolest radio you've probably never heard of. That is fantastic, Justin. Congratulations on getting your ticket. That's a great achievement. And yeah, sorry, but not too sorry, because one of the main reasons I got into this hobby was because of other YouTubers. It's a lot of fun. I wish I knew what kind of scanner and radios you got, but if you only got your technician license, there's a lot you can do with that, good to go, but I do recommend trying to go for your general license as well, because getting on the HF frequencies and voice can be a lot of fun. As for the Pi-Star hotspots, I admit you're ahead of me already in that one. I've got one hotspot that I did configure that I got to work for a little bit, but I had a couple technical issues and I haven't really touched it since. It is one of those things that I do plan on getting back to though. Nonetheless, congratulations. I hope you are happy with your new hobby. If you are not, well, sorry. Next from Reign of Glory, would dig a video going over your garage/workshop layout as well. Thanks. It's functional. It's not much for form. I do tend to move things around quite a bit. There's a few things that have stayed in the same place for a while, but yeah, it's organized chaos is pretty much how I describe it. I'm willing to bet that a lot of you could probably relate, where it might look like a mess, but in your mind, you know where things are, and when you need something, be it a screw, a particular tool, or whatnot, even if you haven't used it for months or over a year, you probably know where to find it. That being said, this is also coming from the same guy that'll set down a tool, turn my head, come back to it, be missing that tool, and spend the next 2 hours of a 30-minute job trying to find that tool or a suitable replacement. Something I'm willing to bet some of you can relate to as well. I'll keep that in mind, Reign of Glory. To be honest, you know, I'd love to share my shop, but some nagging part in the back of my head says it's just kind of advertising the shit that I've got and inviting some wacko stalker to find out where I live and have a field day with my garage. I don't know, TBD, but thank you for the idea. Next comes from a community post that I did. What should my next video cover? With some 3 choices here. Comment from Stephen Gailey 454 was, who cares? Well, Stephen, if you don't like what I do, but see fit to follow what I do and comment on it, you're still a fan, so thank you. But you know what? I actually do kind of care. I know in my coming back video I said I didn't really do this trying to please others, and I don't. I do it mostly as a creative outlet and because I enjoy sharing things with others, and I love being inspired by others with new thoughts, new ideas, new hobbies and whatnot, and I figured, hey, if I can offer that to some people, awesome. So when I post something like this, I plan on doing a video for all 3 of these things. I was just curious to hear what y'all might be interested in next. And to be honest, sometimes I get overwhelmed with ideas and fall short of execution, that something like this just helps me prioritize. So those of you that took the time to respond to this survey, I appreciate it. I might try to do more of it in the future, but either way, thank you. Next one from MA Audio Subs. Would a stock 2.5 do this? This was on the Devil's Canyon trail that I did in the Crosstrek in Colorado. The 2.5, in case you're unaware, as he's referring to, would be the 2.5 liter motor in the newer generation Crosstreks. Mine just had a 2.0. So it's an underpowered dog, but it did manage to do it. So in response to this question, I'll just say this. If my 2 liter, heavily laden with a rooftop tent and all this other crap could do it, then I'm quite certain a 2.5 could do it. However, I firmly believe that the vehicle is only a fraction of the equation. The driver, in my opinion, makes up the big portion of whether or not you're going to be capable of tackling a particular trail. I am not a very good driver, to be honest. I've picked some pretty piss-poor lines in my days, and I'm sure I'll do more in the future. But I happen to be getting better. That's what you get out there for, right? Practice and drive around and so forth. And the vehicle might be capable of it, and I think the next part is just going to be up to you. Next from Bob Markham on the first time adventure motorcycle packing, my last video actually. A Marine that likes hand lotion. I don't know what to think about that, as I am a former sailor with crepe skin and never use lotion of any kind. Just kidding, brother. Keep on eating crayons. Yes, thank you. Green one's my favorite flavor. Love the channel and the content. Oh, by the way, I feel your sorrow about the pets. All kidding aside, been there, done that. We'll probably be doing it again in the near future. I'm very sorry to hear that. We vets need to keep each other close and support one another always. Semper Fi. Well, Semper Fi, or the Marine Corps Uber, I mean Navy equivalent. Thanks, dude, for a couple things. One, for the comment. 2, for the laugh, as far as eating crayons, that never gets old. 3, for the condolences on the pets, so any of you who saw my video on Is the Channel Dead and so forth, and why I was on a hiatus for a bit. You know, speaking of which, that particular video got a lot of comments from people who could relate to pets being basically family members, and condolences, and relating to similar experiences. I'll be honest, you know, that temporarily restored my faith in humanity. I think it was really awesome to see so many people with that much compassion and that much empathy being able to relate. And I hope those of you that read through those comments could also see and feel a little bit reassured that, you know, we weirdos that just kind of love our furry critters, you know, we're not alone. As for the lotion, I tend to have pretty thick skin in my hands and they get fucked up pretty easy. So yeah, it was nice to realize that lotion can be used for something other than a fifi as I got older. If you need to look that one up, please do, but just don't do it on a work computer. Next one from the 5 things to know about a GMRS radio. Can GMRS handhelds communicate on FRS frequency, and how? The answer to number 1 is yes, they can. As a matter of fact, it was after, is it 2017? It wasn't too long ago where the FRS frequencies and the GMRS frequencies started to be shared. They overlap. So a GMRS radio's channels are the same as the FRS radio channels. The difference is FRS only covers the lower power. I think it's half a watt or so on the lower channels 1 through 8, I think. GMRS expands that. You have the same channels 1 through 8, and then you have even lower powers, I think 9 through 14 or 8 through 14. It's like 1 through 7, 8 through 14, something like that. And then 15 through 22 on GMRS are reserved for higher power. Those are also the channels with an offset that are reserved for repeaters. So to answer to number 2, how? Really, I could take any one of my handheld GMRS radios, turn the channel to 1 through 7, I think it is, as well as 8 through 14. I believe those are the overlapping channels. Pick up an FRS radio and basically have workable comms. Most type certified GMRS radios are automatically going to be turned down to the appropriate power settings when you go to those channels, so you shouldn't need to worry about overpowering lower channels using a GMRS radio. Nonetheless, just to be fully compliant, always check the power outputs on channels that you're using and operate within the licenses that you have. Next up from Camilo87 on the what is squelch and why should I care? I give you a like for how tidy is your workshop. I expect to have something like that someday. Well, maybe I won't do a walk around on my workshop because I think what's shown in frame is probably some of the tidier spots. The rest of it can be quite a mess sometimes. But as I mentioned a little earlier, my shop's kind of organized chaos. That could be construed as tidy, right? Another one from the coolest radio you've probably never heard of, from Bill, version 1. Pretty cool, but all first responder / police radio in my state is encrypted. Sad face. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. A lot of folks commented the same. And funny enough, not too long after I made this video where I demonstrated the ability to pick up Chicago citywide police and EMS frequencies on regular FM, they went into encoded and or encrypted radio. So now a lot of the signals that I used to be able to pick up analog are coming in digital. Now you can get a dedicated scanner that can decode digital signals, but you cannot decrypt them. That's 2 different things. You can encode it digitally, and then you can also encode it and encrypt it. Now, encrypting radio transmissions, as far as I know, is not something you can do as an amateur radio operator. That's typically reserved for EMS and municipalities and federal and other ordinances. But anyway, not too long after this video, I had picked up one such scanner, and I'm still kind of learning how to use it. So when I figure that one out, maybe I'll do a review on it and share it with you. Next, from the 5 things to know about GMRS radio, from Matthew Walston, 1226. Hey Tom, great video, and you should probably be getting paid as a public speaker, LOL. Wouldn't that be nice? My question, I'm recently employed as a road flagger, traffic control. I got the idea to buy radios for communication with the other flagger across the street so we could stop yelling at each other over the noise of traffic. That's gotta suck. Are you telling me that we both have to have separate licenses to communicate at work 100 feet apart? We are not related. So, short answer is yes. Technically, per my understanding of Part 95, I believe it is, for the FCC for GMRS, any operator who's operating with a GMRS radio needs to have a GMRS license. And they're not hard to get. You don't have to take a test or anything. It doesn't matter the distance that you're operating. Everyone needs a license. The reason he says we're not related, in case you didn't watch that video, is because when you do get your GMRS license, it actually covers the licensee and his or her family. And there's a whole definition of what family entails. But reading into your circumstance here, if you're only 100 feet apart, honestly, I would probably try getting an FRS radio. You can just get those blister pack radios. FRS requires no license. As I mentioned earlier, they're the lower frequencies, lower power, or maybe even MRS radios. There are fewer channels, but I think they're a little bit more obscure. Not too many people, to my knowledge, at least not around here, use MRS. And it's closer to, I believe, the 2 meter band, whereas the FRS and GMRS is closer to the 440 or the 70 centimeter band. So I guess what I'm saying is that if your application is just to speak to someone across the street or up to 100 feet away, then an FRS radio should do you just fine, especially if you have clear line of sight. So look into that one. No need to worry about licensing and so forth. That should be off the shelf and turnkey. Next, from the Radioddity GM30 review video by Missing Link MTB. Isn't this just the same as the Baofeng GM15? I know the GM15 works on the Radioddity software for the GM30. If that's the case, why not buy the more inexpensive Baofeng? Good question. I had to look this one up. I'm unfamiliar with the Baofeng GM15, but looking at it, its features and reading through its specs, it does in fact appear to be basically the same hardware and possibly the same software as the GM30. So why go for the Radioddity GM30, even though it's not terribly expensive? If you're looking to save a few bucks and go with the Baofeng, you can. Honestly, the only thing I can think of is that in my dealings with Radioddity, the customer service has been exemplary. They've been a very good company for me to deal with in the past, and I like to reward that type of behavior with my patronage. So that's my reasons. Everyone has their own reasons, so if you're looking to save money and it is in fact the same hardware and features, go for it. You know, who am I to tell you otherwise? Next, from DMQE3CI, Crosstrek spoiler and rear hatch panel removal. Hi Tom, thanks for the Crosstrek video on removing the spoiler. I was wondering if you had any video for a 2020 through 2023 Forester spoiler. Thank you very much. I wish I did. Hell, I wish I had a Forester. That's a pretty nice rig. But to answer your question, no, I'm afraid I do not, nor do I currently have access to a Forester like that. But wouldn't that be cool if I could get paid to do videos like that and just kind of learn how to take things apart without having to worry about pay people back if I broke it? That's a job I wouldn't mind having. Next, on trying to learn CW or Morse code, weekend vlog episode 3 from Captain Trips 2980. I thought this is so easy to learn Morse, then came copying it. Not so freaking easy. The only tip I have is just practice and try headphones. That is very relatable to me. So I actually picked up sending Morse code quite quick. It wasn't that hard. I have a learning tool to practice Morse code, and I can currently send about 18 to 20 words per minute. But as Captain Trips here says, copying it for me has been extremely difficult. Trying to quickly decipher using my ear what the damn dits and das mean. I can maybe do it at like 10 or 12 words per minute, and I still struggle at that one. I do just need to practice more. So he's absolutely correct, at least in my limited experience so far. Anyway, thanks Captain Trips for the relatable comment. I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one that has that problem. Next, on the MRS video that I did for the Radioddity RB17V, what the F is the difference between RB, RV, RT, which is best? Sheesh, crazy company. Yeah, I get that. My advice to you is just start looking at the features. When I looked these up to answer this question, I see that the RB, the Romeo Bravo 17, is an FRS radio, so that's a license-free radio, and it operates on certain frequencies. The close to the 70 centimeter band probably has channels 1 through 14, as I mentioned earlier. The Romeo Bravo 17 Victor is a MRS radio, and that's what I did this review on. That's a different set of frequencies. So those two radios, the RB17 and the RB17V, by virtue of being on two different frequency sets and channel sets, they could not communicate with one another. The RT, the Romeo Tango 17, is an FRS radio from what I was able to see when I looked up. So the short answer would be, if you're looking to understand the differences, read through the description and find out what frequencies they operate on, because at least from my shallow dive into this investigation, it looks like even though their naming convention is a little weird and very similar to one another, the differentiator is the frequencies, the channel, the services they operate on. Hope that helps. Alright, I think that's close to about 10 minutes. If I didn't cover your comment, please don't be dismayed. I actually do read through almost every comment I get, and I'm immensely appreciative of everyone who engages in my channel. So even if I don't cover you here, I do want to say thank you and keep them coming. I love to hear your feedback. If you're a Scotch fan and have never tried this Glenfarclas brand, I highly recommend it. It's quite good. With that said, I think I'm going to polish off this glass as I bid you adieu. Thank you as always for watching. This is Tom the Dilettante saying keep on tinkering and keep on learning. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care.